there anybody new to 1 Million Cups? Is this your first time at 1 Million Cups? Could you raise your hand? Yes, yes, thank you for coming. We appreciate everybody that came out this morning. 1 Million Cups was started by the Kauffman Foundation in 2013, and it's grown to over 160 cities just organically with the help of volunteers like the crew here in Dallas and with people like you who come to witness the presenters and even those of you who have presented before. Here's a map of all the states where 1 Million Cups currently is. So if you are traveling or somewhere else besides right here with us, you can always go check out a 1 Million Cups in your city that you're in. We ask that you pull out your phone right now and download the 1 Million Cups app. You can sign into the app and just let us know that you were here. You can connect with other people and you can give feedback to the presenters after the presentation, but you can only do that today. So if you want to make those connections, go ahead and sign up and then sign in and you can talk to people on the app. So the way the show goes is we have two presenters. They each get 6 minutes to present their business to you guys. And then there's 15 minutes of Q&A. So once their 6 minutes is up, we start clapping. It's not because we hate them. It's because that's all the time we have for them to present. So we'll clap and then we'll pass the mic around to answer questions. So if you do have a question, that you think of during their presentation, just raise your hand. Somebody will come along with the microphone and you'll get your question answered. We do ask that you wait for the microphone so we can pick it up on our video, and it's just better for everybody, that way we can all hear your question. So we'll go ahead and welcome our first presenter to the stage, and here in Dallas we stand up and we give a round of applause. So let's welcome Michael with Choose Your Reader.
All right, so my name is Mike Coles, and I want to make sure I get to the right screen here.
Oh, just wait. We'll flip the slides. You're going through our slideshow now.
Yes, I didn't have anything prepared for it. All right. So my name is Mike Coles, and this is Choose Your Reader. So obviously you're here today. You want to know about the big idea, right? That's the key. You're here to hear what this is all about. But before we do that, I want to tell you a little about myself, who I am. So I'm a lawyer. I've been practicing law in Dallas for about 20 years now. I'm a screenwriter. I've been writing screenplays for about 5 years. And then I'm a children's book author, and I've been writing children's books for about 3 years. So those things don't sound like they go together, I know, but they do actually, because I'm a storyteller. That's what I do. Whether it's telling your story to a jury, whether writing for a screen or writing in a book format, I'm a storyteller, and I'm proud to say that. But what I'm really proud of being is a dad, all right? That's really more important to me, and I've loved the opportunity to take storytelling as a father and really connect with my son. And so he enjoys the stories and the whole experience of being a storyteller. For him, he doesn't even appreciate that that connects to my practice as a lawyer, but it really does. So, but the second part of that is that I'm a dad, but I'm a divorced dad. So I'm not with my son every day, all day. And that's been a challenge as well, as you can imagine, if anyone's been through that. And that is where I came up with the big idea. I wanted to marry that storytelling experience with the whole experience of being a dad and connecting with my son when I couldn't do that, when I couldn't be there. So, I'll tell you a true story, right? I am a storyteller, so you're going to get one. Now, the story begins with my son. It's bedtime, and he wants a story from me. And he says, "Dad, tell me a story." And I say, "Okay," and I go to the bookshelf, and he says, "No, I want you to make one up." Now, he doesn't know that I'm a storyteller, so that for me is an opportunity. I say, "Yes, I want to make up a story. Let's do it." So I said to him, "Give me 3 things. What do you want in your story?" He said, "Give me a golf ball, a soccer ball, and a baseball." I said, "Okay." And that night, I made up a story called From Good to Bad to Great. Now, if you have kids, raise your hand if you have kids. All right, you know, they want the same story over and over again, right? They want you to, but now I just made that up. How do I tell this story again? So I had to write it down. Well, I've written it down. Now he wants illustrations. All right, I'm a storyteller. I can't draw to save my life or yours. So I ended up having to go out and hire a professional illustrator to illustrate from good to bad to great. But now that I've got this book illustrated, what am I going to do with it? Do I want to go out and try to get it published and wait for 1,000 rejection letters before someone wants to do that? No. Do I want to go out and self-publish and go on a road show where I got to tell everybody about my book? That takes me away from my son. The whole point of the story is to bring me closer to my son. And that is really where I ended up with the big idea. Okay, how do I take this thing and give a platform? And then I realized, the aha moment, this is not about me as a divorced dad alone. Right? This is about grandparents who don't live with their grandkids, okay? This is about people who travel for work. This is about military families. This is about people who work late at night, people who are actually working overnight shifts or irregular shifts. Any of these people that want to connect with a child need to be able to do that through story time. That is Choose Your Reader. So, where are we now? We launched last month, and I'm going to show you some live screens of how this app works. You're logging in, you select a story, there is from good to bad to great, and you start to read. Now I want to point out, you see the arrow in the screen, you actually are going to record your voice into the app, reading the story. This app will allow you, you see again, the highlighted words. If you can do karaoke, you can read a story into the app. You follow the pacing, it helps you to work through the story, and as you go through, you're going page by page, with the illustrations and all of that, and the child's experience mirrors yours. So they are seeing the pictures, they are hearing your voice, and they are seeing the words highlighted. And if you understand how children learn to read, they learn to read by connecting the sound and the words. So we're actually mirroring what they're doing in school through that educational experience. So if you make a mistake, you can go back and re-record that. If you want to go forward and check out what's coming next, you can go forward with inside the app. All of those are available to you. You get to the end of the story, what happens next? That's the magic. You're going to save the story locally to your phone. It's your story, you own it, I don't own it, I don't want it. Not that I don't love you, but I don't want your story. So, but you now have the ability to share it. You can share it to anyone that's going to actually get it via email, or it scrolls through your text messages right there, your contacts, and you can send it via text. They get a link and they can do that. So what's the revenue model? $3 to $5 per story currently. After we have a decent library, we're going to move to a subscription model. A couple of other things to know. How can you help us out? Download the app. We need 5-star ratings. Really would appreciate that. Tell your friends, tell your family, share it with them. But also, we are a publishing platform, right? So if you have someone that has a story, let them know about the app, and we'll get it on the app, and we do a revenue share model for that. All right, so we've got 20 stories launching this quarter. We've got foreign language stories. We've got Spanish stories. We have stories in Russian. We are sourcing stories from all over the world, literally. So a couple of pictures of what the stories look like. These are 4 stories that I've written. They are the first 4 stories to go into the app, and there are others. The public domain is a great place for us to mine. We've got Mother Goose coming out this week, literally. So what are we? Tech company, content creator, content publisher. We are all 3 of those things. That is Choose Your Reader. How'd I do on time?
Thank you for the presentation. We're going to go into Q&A right now. Our first question is always, what can we as a community do for you?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, right, downloading the app is key. We're going to begin a broad-based marketing campaign, but as you can imagine, if you see an app that you go check out on the App Store and it's got 7 downloads, and you think, maybe not for me, right? So we need just the volume of downloads. But downloads help not as much as ratings, right? So 5-star ratings are also important. The last thing is getting it in the hands of other people, whether they be potential users as parents or grandparents, or authors who have a story that they'd like to get out on that platform. We really want to be able to share this with as many people as we can, because it's an important part of the family experience. It's not just about the revenue, it really is about the family experience.
Any other questions?
Job well done. So question is, who's your competition?
Really, I have looked for competition and it does not exist. I didn't build this because I had a great idea in the beginning. I built it because I had a need for something and I thought, of course this exists. Of course it's out there. but it wasn't. I searched and searched and I couldn't find it, and I had that moment of, if I want it, if I need it, someone else probably does as well. So I've only found one other seemingly similar platform, and what they've done is essentially, it's really just a visual picture, and then you've got a video, and it's really a frame for a video, and you read, and then you can show the video in the frame, but it doesn't have the literacy component with the words highlighted as you go for the child. It doesn't have the pagination component that we've got, but that's all that I've ever seen that I searched, and I've had other people search. It's just not anything out there. You got one in the back corner as well.
1, 2. What are sales right now? You did this presentation last month.
I did this presentation at the Founders Live, that's right.
Yeah,
so we did, we had about 150 downloads over the course of January. So, just to give you a sense.
Is this giving a nod? Yes, so is this a platform for other copywriters, or not writers, but screenwriters or authors? That's my first question.
What's your second?
Religion. So if that's a platform for that, or is it just non-denominational?
So the first question is it a platform for other writers? And so I won't say screenwriters, because it truly does need to be narrative form. We've got poetry coming out this month. We've got so stories, narrative structure, we have that, but screenwriters not really. But yes, other authors, 100% yes. Second question, yes. So in anticipation of Easter coming, we've got basically rollouts that are seasonal. So we're going to do a rollout of some biblical stories in conjunction with the Easter holiday. And so as the holiday calendar rolls around, one of the things that we have is a portal that we can really upload stories of a variety. And so if we've got Christmas stories, we have the ability to turn that on and turn those off. So we actually, the portal on the back end side is what I'm really proudest of, but you're probably the least interested in it. But truly, that is, yes, it is absolutely coming.
Test.
What age group of children are you targeting right now?
3 to 7 is the primary age group that we're targeting.
Two questions. Here we go. First question, you said your background is an attorney, screenwriter, publisher. So where does the expertise come on the technology side? Where does that come from? And then the second question, what is your marketing strategy? What kind of investment do you think you have to make this work?
Yeah, so the question on what my tech background is I have absolutely no tech background within my sort of, as a programmer. I have worked with technology companies as a lawyer for almost all of my career. So I have, and I'm also just interested and curious about technology. I am very much an early adopter, right? I was the guy that got rid of my landline in 1999, all right? So I am very much an early adopter of technology. So I have an interest in it, I'm curious about it, and I've just leveraged that over the course of the years.
You said yourself you're not an illustrator, so if someone was a writer, do you have platforms, people to connect them with so that they could get it illustrated through your app or whatever?
Yes, so it's same experience that I had. Yes, we have the ability to put it in the hands of illustrators. We have the ability to show you the works of various illustrators and say, what do you like, right? And then part of the platform is I actually will pay to have your book illustrated, right? So that's part of the whole process as well. I can hear you, so if you say it, I'll repeat it.
Yeah, I watched for the video. So I have two questions. One is, it looks to me that this is one of those chicken and egg problems where you need a lot of stories and then you need a lot of people. So people submit their stories, screenwriters write because they have an audience, and then the people consume your app because they have enough stories. So how do you tackle, or planning to tackle a problem with those market sides? Secondly is the distribution. What is your plan for growth? Because obviously doing this kind of presentation is a model that doesn't scale. How do you plan to have more and more downloads?
Yeah, so the question, and both of your questions candidly are scalability questions in my mind. So the first question about how do you get enough story content in order to be scalable? And then second, how do you have a marketing strategy that is equally scalable? So on the story acquisition piece, it is certainly not feasible for me to be the sole author. So, and as I mentioned, we've got stories in Spanish and Russian. I don't speak those languages. So we are actually in the business of acquiring pre-existing content. So it is already existing, it has already been published, but we are getting the digital rights for that. And so, you know, that's my legal background, is essentially allowing me to go out and acquire existing content. Now, separate from that, the public domain is very rich, okay? And so the public domain has so many stories that we already know that I can tap into, and we've done that as well. So between those two, scalability on content acquisition is a lot better. If you think about Netflix's experience of going out and acquiring content that was existing, that was difficult, and they had to create their own production side. So you get, Netflix has its own now movies that they're making. We have the advantage of, it doesn't cost us $8 billion a year that Netflix has to have as a budget for content. We can go out and source content that is existing for a lot less. So that's the first one. Now the marketing, you are very correct. This whole experience of what I'm doing here, and I gave myself 2 months to do it, which is present to groups, let them know about it, get users, get test cases, refine the product. But beginning in March, and really actually at the end of this month, we're going to start doing some national campaign work. And so we've already got contacts with national syndicated radio programs that are talking about putting us on the air. So that's a whole marketing strategy. But one of the things that I'm doing this month is stress testing the product. So any of you that are tech people, you know I've got to be able to confirm my load is going to be sufficient in terms of what I can handle. If we get 10,000 users in the month of March, what does that look like from a back-end tech side? So we're doing that this month as well, but that's all part of the strategy. It's not jump out there and say, hey, here we are, and oh, by the way, am I good enough? But rather, am I good enough? And then, hey, here we are.
Do you have any well-known children's authors or people who sort of live and breathe in this space all day long, either advising or guiding you through this process on how to kind of create the right content and act as advocates for the platform?
So on the first piece of that, in terms of giving me advice, I do have some people that I've sat and met with over the last year. And so I really started this process in 2017. But over the last year, I've been going to conferences on children's book, talking to illustrators and authors and getting their feedback on the platform. What would they like to see? What are they concerned about? So I've had those conversations, and some of the ideas are embodied in our existing platform. But in terms of actually getting them to the point where they are advocates for the platform, we have not done that.
Okay, we have time for one more question.
So your competition, you said earlier you don't think you have competition. I'd say your competition is YouTube and Peppa Pig. What's your strategy to drive views either on other platforms like YouTube or?
I'll repeat it.
Yeah. So drive traffic from YouTube or vice versa. Drive with your content on YouTube, drive back to your app.
Yeah, so the question was, if my competition does not exist in an exact sort of format, perhaps that competition is, you mentioned Peppa Pig and YouTube videos and things like that, and you are spot on. The good thing about it is our target audience at 3 is not quite there yet in terms of really getting themselves into the videos. That's actually a parent-driven process. So certainly we could look at tapping into that and using sort of marketing that's online. But actually what we want to talk about for parents is, wait a minute, there's all these concerns about screen time. But research has shown recently that screen time in and of itself is not a bad thing. What's really problematic is how you're using the screen. What activities are you engaged in when you are using screen time? So our goal is to tell parents, screen time is good time if you make it that way. And Choose Your Reader is an outlet for screen time to be productive, educational, and to build the ties within your family.
All right. Thank you so much for your presentation.
All right, this is the halftime portion of the show, so if you need more coffee, you can grab it while we make the rest of our announcements. There we go. We want to thank our sponsors right now. So Capital Factory and the DEC are our sponsors for this presentation, for this event. The DEC is a nonprofit and it's a resource for entrepreneurs at every stage. Capital Factory is another resource for early stage entrepreneurs and beyond. And we also want to thank Michael K. Bruner, who is sponsoring the video and photography for 1 Million Cups. So thank you, sponsors. I also want to make an announcement that there will be free co-working here on the bottom floor after the event. So if you want to stick around and co-work, you can co-work here in this area or on the other side and work for the rest of the day if you'd like. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next presenter to the stage. David is with 4040 Adventures, so let's all stand up and give him a round of applause as he makes it to the stage.
It's working? Mine is. Yours is. Okay. My name's David Gill. I'm based in London right now. We run 4040 Adventures. I set up a company 3 years ago when I came to the United States with my wife. But it's gone back 20 odd years of experience to get to this stage. Back in 2000, I was still getting. I've got quite a nice map.
Yeah, just, yeah.
As you can probably tell, we're not a tech company. And my accent is definitely not here from the United States. As I said, 20 odd years ago, I got involved in leading expeditions following a very brief stint with the British Army. And I spent several years kicking around in South America, Africa, and Asia, working for non-profits, clearing landmines and bomb disposal. During that time, built up a great network of interesting people, guides, and some stunning countries. And it's always been my sort of dream to take people on adventures. From a young age, I wanted to see the world differently. I don't like package holidays, I don't like mass tourism, and I wanted to go out and make a little bit of a difference. So 3 years ago, we came to the United States and we established 4040 Adventures. So what do we actually do? Okay, we have come up with various trips. Predominantly, we want to get students, high school students, out and about, developing their sort of real life skills, getting to understand different cultures, different languages, and different environments. Team building and leadership. We have got, so within our network, diplomats, the whole works. So we can offer various corporate and team building experiences in challenging environments. So getting out of that comfort zone, not doing the usual sort of corporate retreats, but if you can imagine sort of kicking back in a country called Abkhazia or Nagorno-Karabakh that don't technically exist on the world map. Family vacations, getting away from the tourist traps. And through our network, we've got the ability to run remote logistics. So that involves if you've got projects or you've got you want to develop sort of networks down in countries that you haven't operated in. We happen to have a bunch of mates who are down in those countries running security, running all sorts of operations. And one of our favorites at the moment is the Gift Through Adventure fundraising. Instead of a normal cake sale for your non-profit, we can offer you the opportunity to go and climb a mountain and raise good money for your non-profits. So, as I say, worldwide experiences. We've got the contacts to run trips across 6 out of the 7 continents. Still working on Antarctica, but that's a little bit out of reach at the moment. But we can get down as far as Chile, Patagonia, Argentina, all throughout South America and Central America and Europe. Okay, so for 2019, these are the destinations and places that we are currently running trips to. At the bottom it's got the United Kingdom. So as well as expeditions and adventures, we want to get people experiencing different cultures. Where I'm from is right down in the far west country of the United Kingdom. So if you've ever seen Poldark or Doc Martin on TV, those Cornish boys doing the smuggling and tin mining, that's us as well. Beautiful landscapes and something a little bit less extreme. So this year, we've partnered up with the Warriors Keep, which is a veterans organisation in McKinney. And we're taking 12 veterans to go and climb Kilimanjaro in June. We came up with this having met the founder of the organisation. I read about him on, I think it was Voyage Dallas, and just went, this is something I can really sort of get involved with. As I said, having spent 7 years clearing landmines and kicking around in some of the more obscure places, I kind of knew what it was like to come home from and face with difficulty and challenges. So we are off in June 2nd to the 12th. We are going to be climbing Kilimanjaro with those guys. We're also producing a documentary about it as well, so which leads us into the second one. Prelude Films is a Fort Worth-based TV and film production company. We kind of looked at the market and we started chatting with them, and we came up with the idea of taking students, filmmaking students, down to Peru. At the moment, oh, crumbs at 1 minute. Fantastic 21-day trip down there, and then TCU, we've been working alongside them to try and develop some fundraising expeditions to help them set up a scholarship fund for their outdoor programs. Okay, I could go back a little bit. As I said, we have got some big plans. We want to get people out of their comfort zones, seeing the world differently, and experiencing real change. Cool, and this is Grant.
How you doing? Grant Boatwright. I'm the American half of this partnership. And probably the one thing I want to say that kind of brings all this together is while he says we want to do something a little bit different, that really comes to the shared experience, real change. Through these expeditions, one thing that's missing when you're just going on vacation is getting a group of people together so that it does become that shared experience. And through that shared experience, through these 3 examples up here, we're going to be able to create real change in the lives of these vets at TCU, bringing that company culture of TCU together. So that's what we're really about.
Thank you for your presentation, and as always, our first question is, what can we as a community do for you?
Really right now, kind of, as the other guy said, we need you guys out there talking about us. We've got some marketing things coming up, like with Warriors Keep, but really word of mouth, especially with things like this, is going to be what separates us from the big boys who have billions of dollars to market, like REI and things like that. And we have actually been able to grow quite a bit just through on-the-ground marketing, and had most of our partnerships come through face-to-face meetings. So more things like this, they're like, hey man, what's this different travel thing I heard about? Coming and talking to us, finding out what you're passionate about, and actually getting you on some things with us will make a huge difference.
Anyone else have any questions?
Hi there.
What differentiates you guys from, say, a World Ventures, a vacation, or something like that, and as well as you spoke about nonprofit funding, and along those lines, I really don't understand where you're going with that, but how does that apply to me and everyone here that may have a nonprofit? Where does the funding aspect come in to 40/40 Venture, and then how do you compete with the big guys, aside from what you just said?
Lower overheads. Nat Geo, REI, and various others, G-Adventures all charge significantly, probably about 34–40% more than we do. The networks that we've built up, I use my local friends and guides in countries. So, for example, Ghana, we can run a trip there for half the price that REI charges. That difference would be what we'd say to you as a non-profit. Charge it at the REI rate, you net that $2,500 per person straight to your coolers without having to do any of the logistics, having to do any of the risk assessments, any of the worries there. So, yeah, you can make $20,000 or $1,000 for an expedition for you and your clients, or your supporters get to go and do an adventure. Kilimanjaro, overheads there are again about $2,000 less than G-Adventures. So you guys add that on, 10 people, you make quite a nice little fundraising effort, and you do something incredibly different.
I was going to say, I also run a nonprofit on the side, so this was a big kind of key component of how we got together in the first place. Is I mean, like most other nonprofits out there, you have to raise money, and it's always a problem. But one of the things I do with a nonprofit is I take kids in the backcountry on trips like this, but in the U.S. So I was trying to find a way, how do I raise money while utilizing my skills in this area? And that's where David and I came up with this, partnering with nonprofits. And because we are able to keep the costs low because of his personal relationships and our kind of in-country access that a lot of these big boys don't have, we are, like with TCU, able to raise money for their scholarships by coming in and saying, hey, we can cover our costs at this, and then bring the profits that people already are going to pay if they go with REI and everything else back to you, going towards causes, going towards schools, going towards things more than just a bottom line profit.
Have you reached out to, well, on the REI front, have you reached out directly to any of the brands? Because I know, for instance, Arc'teryx has a pretty elaborate website where they show you, you know, how they test all of their sportswear type stuff. And it just seems like if you can get them to sponsor one of these, you know, K2 things, then you've got another marketing plan. And also, you know, you're recording it with the, so you thought about the social media side. Do you have your own social media set up and going?
At the moment, yes-ish. That's something we are definitely working on. Our website should be up and running by Friday. Yeah, Friday. We've got Facebook. As I said, I'm not a tech guy. I used to pull landmines out of the ground. The other stuff's complicated. But we now have Instagram and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, Grant knows more about that.
So yeah, we've got, it's something we thought about, but this being coalesced pretty quickly just this past year. I've already been in talks with a couple different marketing groups. The cool thing is that most people like travel. So all I have to do is say, hey, you want to go overseas? And they're like, what can I do for you? So I've already been in contact with a couple of marketing firms that are already coming alongside us and saying, you need this, you need this, you need this. So over the next couple months, you'll start seeing that, like our Instagram, like Facebook, doing some 1-minute kind of teaser videos on travel and things like that to get people interested in just going to the brand. But then also like Arc'teryx and things like that, we've already got some big trips in the work with some bigger names that once we have those on board and we have 40/40 behind us, our brand should become a lot more visual.
Do you guys have a challenge of, if your competitors are these bigger names, do you have the challenge of saying, hey, come with us, send your kids with us to the far reaches of the world and trust us that we're going to bring them back safely?
Yeah. Yes. But it's also just reaching out to those customers. As I say, it's us. It's my reputation. I want to be able to go and speak to parents if they're going to send their kids off and look at them eye to eye and say.
That's the thing. I mean, you don't have a reputation. I mean, at least as far as just your consumer goes.
Yeah. Behind us as well, though, so we have a huge risk management procedure put in place. On the West Coast, I've got a guy called Richard Knight who has been involved with emergency evacuations for over 20 years for some of the big companies. On the East Coast, I've got an extremely good friend, Mark Dean, who runs a security and intelligence sort of side of companies. So we have got huge backup and resources. So that, I feel, is one of our strengths. When we get in and start to look at people and get to know them, that's how I feel that we can build this, through personal relationships. I personally don't know the CEO of REI. I don't think anybody does when they sign up to that. So, yeah, they've got the name, but are they too big now to care? Whereas we're there. I say for every single member that comes on our trip, we go through comprehensive sort of briefings. We go through the whole trip preparation to make sure that they are confident in us. So, yeah, we're getting there.
And we also utilize everything else that the big boys do. So a lot of the certifications like Wilderness First Responders, Wilderness First Aid, those kind of things we will have as well and do have as well, which will be on the website. So at least those things will be recognizable to parents and things like that if they have any background or have looked into the outdoor programs at all.
Pretty interesting. My question is, the ones you mentioned seem like they're trips for for set audiences, for veterans, for TCU. Do you have stuff, I guess, coming up, for just Joe and Jane Q public?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely what our niche is after, but we're also, because we have these connections, going to be opening up, like say, the Kilimanjaro trip with Warriors Keep. We're going at the beginning of June, but on the front end and back end of that, we're going to be running week-long trips just like it. So if you hear about the Warriors Keep, or those people who have heard about them, man, I want to go on that too. Well, we've got trips on the back end and front end that when you go to the website, you'll be able to see those dates as well, and individuals can sign up for these things. Or if for in the future, like Warriors Keep, if you're like, look, I'd really like to go along and hear the stories of these veterans and things like that, then we'll have kind of celebrity trips type deal with that, where you're able to go along with some veterans, or you're able to go along with this nonprofit that you're now passionate about to actually get invested, because then that shared experience ties you into their culture, their passion, what they're doing, and actually creates a better bond between you and what you're going there for.
We have time for one or two more questions.
So you mentioned Kilimanjaro and some more far-reaching places, but the map that you showed before also shows places here in the U.S., like Texas and New Mexico. What do those trips look like? What are those more American adventures, if you will?
So again, we try to do stuff that's a little atypical, where you're not just going to go down to Big Bend for a weekend and hang out, whatever. We want to make it educational. We want to make it something that's going to be tied into something greater than just the trip. So what I try to do is always partner with somebody. Like when we go to Big Bend, for example, we don't just go to Big Bend. We're also going to be going to the McDonald's Observatory and things like that, and learning about ways, especially with the kids, that teaches them something beyond what they probably have just heard, or just going out and looking at some cool rocks. So we'll do the observatory, we'll do Big Bend, we'll get on with horse conservation down there, because my sister-in-law is in the equestrian field, and about the wild Mustangs and things like that. So we're always trying to tie it to something, but we also like to create those milestone type trips that are going to be those things that you do come back and talk about. So we are going to go climb 14ers and things like that in Colorado. We're going to go up and do kind of sister trips where we're going to Glacier National Park, but also it's sister park in Canada. So people are like, well, I've always wanted to go to Glacier. Yeah, let's go there, but let's also get you to another country if you haven't been there before. So some partnerships like that is going to be a little bit different than just your typical trip there.
Good morning. Just a question from the perspective of an investor. Do you need capital? And what would you do if you received more capital? And can you speak about the profitability from the IRR, right? How much are we going to get back and when?
Yes, and we actually have all that written up. We were told we didn't have a lot of time to go into that today, so thanks for the question. We are going to need some capital. The cool thing is a lot of our logistics and trip stuff is already in place because of our experience and because of the things that we've done in the past. What we do need help with are those partnerships and like the marketing and getting our name out there and some of the PR and that kind of thing. So there are some projects that we want to fund that we do need capital for. And if you want to see a more detailed version of what return on investment is and things like that, we can definitely send that to you. So come up to us afterwards. What we're looking for is anywhere from about 10 to 30 grand. So it's not a huge investment, but this will get us kickstarted in some places that we just haven't gotten yet, which is more on the marketing social media side. So let me know afterwards and we can send you the actual numbers on that.
Question for you, partly the gentleman's question about safety, but also in terms of marketing. I'm assuming that you don't send the participants, here's a list of gear to buy and I'll see you at the airport, right? There's a process you go through to help them get ready for the trip. But my question is not, is that the case? I assume it. My question is, are you able to take that experience and isolate it for A, marketing purposes, B, to give people some sense of safety and security, and then C, an additional revenue stream because you can use those as corporate events that are local?
Yes. From the process of sort of chatting to clients, going through the steps, choosing their expedition and their training, we have an online safety training from our partners over on the East Coast, which every participant will go through. In terms of selecting kits, we will have a kit itinerary. I want to make expeditions affordable to people. I don't feel the need to have the latest brand, top of the range equipment if you're only going to use it once and then just put it in the cupboard. So we can put together sort of the packing lists, the safety side of things. If I stand over here, I think that might be better. And as I say, putting it down into a social media side of things, getting people on different pre-training expeditions is one of the ideas that we do have.
And we've been pretty strategic already on the partnerships that you saw up here, like with Prelude Films and things like that, where we're partnering with these video production companies so that as we're leading them on the trips, they're documenting it for us, and then we can then use those videos afterwards as training purposes, putting it on our social media, allowing people to go through these trainings as they prepare for these trips, or even Warriors Keep documenting as we are going through with the veterans, because they have a monthly itinerary that they have to follow to prepare to get to go to Kilimanjaro. So we're documenting all that, and it will be released as we get through doing those productions.
Question, can you hear me? Are you providing airfare, hotel, meals, equipment on these trips? And especially for students, what's your average cost per trip? Because I think that either broadens your audience or narrows your audience.
I'll just take the very first part of that. So with like all the other trip companies out there, one of the hardest things to do is to get travel to and from. And also with point systems and things like that, people want the ability to use those to cut down on costs. So like all those other ones, we cover everything once you're there on the trip. So the to and from we don't cover, but once you get on ground with us at the destination, everything's taken care of from that point.
But we can also organise airfares as well. So if a large group comes together, we can actually get them all from one airport, say DFW, out to Nairobi as one group. That's a relatively easy part of the logistics. In country, we supply all safety equipment, transportation, whether you're camping, pack rafting, climbing, we'll have all of the gear there. And as I say, qualified guides with experience. So that to me is a huge part, just getting people with the right skills into the right places. Oh, an average cost. For example, I ran a trip for 24 high school students from Cairo American College to go to Croatia for a week's multi-activity. All food, accommodation, etc. was $1,500 per head. And the reason why we were able to offer it at that price was primarily to do with the school was a friend of mine. The teacher who helped organise it was a friend of mine. And I wanted to get them as a client. If we were to go to other schools, we would be looking at a different price range on that.
So that's the last question of the day. If you have any other questions for any of the presenters, please meet with them after the announcements.
Thank you very much.
So thank you again to all of our presenters. This is the time where you can log into the app, check in for the last time if you haven't already, and you can also leave feedback for the presenters, but we also encourage you to stick around afterwards and talk to the presenters. Before we get out of here, I want to welcome Oren to the stage to tell you about Capital Factory. He'll be giving a tour afterwards, so if you're new and you haven't checked out the space, he can do that for you.
Hey guys, my name is Oren. I'm the memberships coordinator here at Capital Factory. If this is your first time here and you're interested in co-working here at Capital Factory, just want to learn about Capital Factory, come and see me. I'll be giving a tour. Also, upcoming events. So on February 19th, we're having an Ask Me Anything. It's going to be with Jessica Vittorio and Leah Frazier. It's going to be the intro to Dallas startup scene. So if you're new to Dallas or you're looking to get involved within the startup and entrepreneurial community here in Dallas, that would be a great event to go to. And again, that's going to be February 19th. That's a Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. So right over here at Capital Factory. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Oren. And we are also open to having additional organizers join the team here in Dallas. So if you want to get involved in the startup community in a deeper way, then holler at me or Isabel afterwards, and we can give you more information about. Isabel is standing right back there. We'll give you more information about 1 Million Cups Dallas. We are also looking for a video sponsor. So do we have anybody that does video or photography here? All right, we will definitely holler at you guys afterwards. And if you know anybody who does video or photography, please talk to us afterwards and connect us with those people that you know. That's all for today. Thank you guys so much for coming out, and we'll see you again next week.